in-law at some point in time, or maybe they're just best friends. I don't know. They seem to know each other. Don seemed to know Vince's wife pretty well.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, what happened between? Well, but he does say what happened between you two. So maybe Don doesn't talk to Vince about his personal issues. They're just more buddies.
Maybe that's just something that's left for us to wonder. I'm going to say they were brother-in-laws, and he comes back without his brother. His fiance leaves him. Vince doesn't know really what to do now. Word gets out that he might have killed his brother-in-law firefighter. He gets fired from the fire squad. He doesn't know what to do. He has had his interest peaked though. Like he's like, that's the only thing I've ever been good at. Mm-hmm. But the next thing he has a little experience with is treasure hunting. He starts being a treasure hunter. He has some success at it. Of course, you know where I'm going with this. He has to change his name at some point along the line. He changes his name to Brock Lovett.
Yes.
And he ends up trying to find treasure from the Titanic.
Wow. Because he was somewhere for 4 years, right? He was in the National Guard for 4 years. So he has some experience. Maybe he did that. State Guard. So he has some training. He and firefighter training. And then you're right. He probably moves, maybe starts working on a boat, hunting treasure. And then he meets up with the crew. Then he gets a certification, changes his name to Brock, grows out some sweet hair. Boom.
I mean, that would be half the job.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea. I like it. Because he wants to escape, right? And the best way to escape is in the ocean. Mm-hmm. And he wants to be surrounded by water, not fire. Good point. I love this story of him. So he becomes Brock Lovett, Titanic's Brock Lovett. I'm thinking after Titanic, Brock Lovett quit treasure hunting. After listening to a 3-hour story. I mean, just like, okay, so what? Where's my treasure? What? Sometimes I watch movies. There'll be some people at a wedding or some people sitting around and someone sits down to tell them the story, but it's gotta be a hours and hours and hours long story. And then it's over, they leave, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, that was cool, but that was about 3 hours of my life. Was it worth it? Right? It's, and I got no treasure. And then he became, what? Yeah. Wait, maybe Vince taught himself, he went treasure hunting, and he found himself washed up on a beach. And then he started writing songs. And he changed his name, like Club Dread. What's his name in Club Dread? He wrote Pina Colada Bird.
Remember. Pina Colada Bird.
Yeah, he becomes a singer who travels around. Coconut Beat.
That probably makes more sense than the...
I like yours better, though, because treasure's there.
Because treasure is there.
And he moves to an island surrounded by water. Stupid.
Yep.
I just made up a long story, then I went, that's stupid. But I do like, too, when they bust into the building in the beginning, when the guy just runs himself into the fire. When he could have just taken the map and left, but he's just so racked with guilt. Is that why?
There's some kind of religious stuff going on there. Mm-hmm. Because they just stole the treasure, right?
Yeah.
They didn't, it wasn't like they murdered people and stole the treasure. They just stole it.
It looked like there was a lot of looting going on one night. It looked like something that was happening, and they busted in and took it.
Yeah, I mean, Vatican ain't gonna go broke. That's how I feel.
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah. And now some pawn shops. Well, I don't want to sound reductive.
They get those coins back at the end of FX2, The Deadly Art of Illusion. So, I mean, they got money. They're okay.
I hate sounding bad, but like Art Evans, Bradley, he's going to lose. Like, how much money do you think he'll make off that gold?
This is what I was thinking. Like, it's worth, technically, it seems like it'd be worth more as a treasure. Mm-hmm. But I feel like also he would have to melt it all down and sell it that way.
Yeah. Could he just go to the nearest Catholic church and just say, this is 50 years old, I reclaimed it for the Catholic Church, and then be like, pay me?
I'm pretty sure they'd say, okay, we have your money here and back, sir. And then he would probably be arrested.
Yeah, probably. So he should just melt it down.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just has a nice silverware set now.
Yeah, I don't know what you do with gold. I mean, I don't have any gold. I don't have any treasure. I don't know what the first thing to do.
Probably lose money by selling it at a pawn shop, right?
Yeah. You could start there, though.
That's true. Sell one just to have some walking around cash?
Yeah, sell a cup for, see if you can get, $10,000 out of it. And then work your way up to different parts of your treasure.
You'd have to be careful which pawn shop you went to, too, because if you showed up with that cup, like that's a nice gold cup. And if they're shady, you might just be in trouble. They might say, hey, you want to come to the back? We'll pay you.
Yeah.
These are the two movies I want. I want Paxton's journey to become Brock Lovett, and I just want Bradley trying to sell this stuff to make a decent amount of money.
Does Paxton's journey involve being a storm chaser for a little while?
Yes, absolutely. The extreme. I do miss him. So I don't know if I told you this, but I worked with him on $1 Million Arm, a Disney movie, and he's one of the coolest dudes I've ever worked with. So I was on some movies you do this thing called First Team, where if actors show up, then you get them through hair, makeup, wardrobe, get them on set. And then if there's any changes, you get the sound on them, tell them where they're hanging out. Then they act, and if you got to go do a wardrobe change, you get them back. You just make sure the process is going smoothly. And they had me hanging out with Bill Paxton when he was on set at the Georgia Tech Stadium. That was probably my favorite. He's one of the favorite people I've ever worked with, man. He was just the coolest dude. He hated the hat I wore because it had a big hole in the front of it. He's like, I need to get you a new hat, man. But he just ran around, ran the crafty truck, hung out with them, made his own sandwiches. Was just super chill. Just the nicest dude. Like, there wasn't any, it never felt like work. It felt more like hanging out. So that was a cool gig. So I miss Paxton. I kind of miss his sort of, I don't know what to call it, but maybe blue collar presence in movies. Like in Twister. Yeah. That's such a, obviously there's insane amounts of visual effects in that movie, but it's such a blue collar film, or Frailty. I liked his presence. It felt like a everyday guy, like a little bit more, he could be super skeezy, or he could like have a warmth to him. So I kind of miss that. I miss having Paxton around.
Yeah, good at playing the creeps, good at playing, he could obviously do some comedy, but yeah, always had that, what you said, blue collar charm, little southern accent a little bit, throws that in there. And
him in True Lies is one of the skeeziest characters I've ever seen in my life. His creation in that movie. Oh my gosh. But when I like the Broken Lizard guys, and when they started a podcast, he would join them. And you get to listen to Bill Paxton chat to these guys about his career. And he was just super cool. He told me stories about Titanic and going down in the ocean, and it was pretty neat. Like, I didn't even ask about stories. He was just telling them to me. It was pretty cool. I remember when I was on that set, like, hey, Mark, you want to take care of Paxton? I'm like, what? Yeah. I didn't even know he was on the movie. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was a sweet gig.
I kind of forgot he was in the movie. Oh.
Working with Pat. Yeah, he was a coach for a little bit. That's why I was surprised. I'm like, wait, Paxton's in this film? That dude, Craig Gillespie, directed it. He did I, Tonya, and that new Pam and Tommy Lee movie or TV show that they're filming right now.
Yeah.
No, it looks pretty good. But like, you want to talk about Walter Hill here for a little bit? I mean, this guy, what I miss, do you miss his style of films where they're just real, you feel the sweat, you feel the locations.
Yeah.
Like, nothing looks too clean. Like, Warriors, they shot in the streets of New York, and they had gangs protecting them. They couldn't go to certain areas. They couldn't do different things. So I don't know. I miss his style. And I think making this movie is probably harder than what it seems, because it's just two dudes, well, four people stuck in an apartment and then other people around them. And then you have to find a way to get tension in there. But I think they answer, I'm talking a lot here, but I like how they answer every question. I like how Savon takes out the catwalk, but he gets yelled at. I like when they put down the piece of wood, but Tiny Lister shoots it. They seem to really do a nice ABC job of moving on to what's next, and then they're pinned down by a sniper, and this movie feels like most things are thought through. There are a little bit of things, like a couple characters disappear, but other than that, I think it's a really well thought out, gritty, like, he loves to shoot in like these urban landscapes. He likes derelict areas, like his factories. I don't know, like the camera work. And I was reading about the camera work, and what I liked about what he said was, let's see, what did he say? Oh, he said there was no handheld. There's no Panaglide in the movie. Oh, so they only shot handheld in this movie. There's no Panaglide. He's like, I want it to be herky-jerky. He's like, we Dutched a lot of the angles, especially as the story unfolds, because the story gets crazier and crazier. We went from a less elegant, the early parts of the movie, there are no handhelds at all. But as the story gets more nervous and crazy, we go more and more to a handheld thing until finally the end of the film is entirely handheld. I thought that was cool. So he told the story with his various shots. Like, they made it more herky-jerky, and they Dutched it when they needed to, and then it became like kind of like a fiery hellscaped handheld world. It's just smart. I don't know. I dig it. I miss Walter Hill's style.
I know we already talked about the video and stuff, but the time that it was released, but you saw, and it's just coincidence, but you know, this was after a summer where we watched just basically lots of handheld police footage, like zooms and zooms from far away, and I remember Ice Cube's Wicked video, which was all like kind of handheld and also evocative of that kind of LA riot type of news coverage. It kind of predicted a trend in movie and like music video making for quite a while. I don't think you see it a lot anymore. Actually, I don't see music videos anymore, so I digress.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it was definitely innovative at the time, the way they shot that. It's cool. I don't know. I like the music that they were listening to. I like when Raymond was driving around. Like, I think it'd be a cool soundtrack. They even recorded a song called Looters for this movie that didn't get released. It just, I think the problem with this movie, I think you're right. You had what happened that summer. You had the camera work that was very reminiscent of that. Then you had the Cop Killer song that came out, and just the title Looters. And I think that all led to it not. But also, this movie, like, Paxton and Sadler are cool. And at the time, Ice-T and Ice Cube were huge, but they weren't going to open a movie against. I mean, look at this. We have Tom Cruise, Macaulay Culkin, Mel Gibson, Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston, Hoffa. I mean, like, Distinguished Gentleman was Eddie Murphy. So they didn't really have any A-listers to open it up on a Christmas day. It's a really, I think it would have played better. Do you think it would have played better in a July in a hot theater? You go there, you watch it. Like, if anything hadn't gone down, it definitely would have gotten more acclaim, I think, in those months. July's a good time to release movies. I mean, they didn't even plan an August dumping ground release. This was July.
Yeah, I think it definitely could have done better. And even if they'd held on to it for another like spring release post Oscars, or that's another counter programming they do these days. Of course, you have your big releases on Christmas, but there's kind of like that 3-week lull after Christmas, and then they start trying to get all the Academy Award movies out into actual wide distribution, and that's another time you can probably release it nowadays. I'm not sure how it was back then. 1992, I was still young. Not sure I was paying attention to the Academy Awards.
This is a really good time to release it right now. You know, that might be really great. But yeah, what are your what were your favorite moments of this movie? Give me your 2 favorite moments.
Probably, I mean, the first plot point where Goose dies, or you know, and then like the eye contact they make, and the great zoom in on Paxton, and everything just changes all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm. It gets real.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there are other scenes I like from the movie. Like the end of the movie is very chaotic. You kind of can't tell where you are, which is cool. Paxton and Raymond are hiding downstairs. They're trying to hunt each other, and then Sadler and Ice-T are killing each other, and then Ice Cube and Bradley are fighting each other. And then Raymond shows back up.
I gotta go with the drug scene when he just stabs the needle into Sadler's neck.
He just stabs Sadler in the neck with heroin. That's great.
Listen, if that ever happens to you, if you ever have a prisoner and you need to get some heroin in him, don't stand within needle range of the person or dart range of the person. I guess they kind of got you then, because they have one arm holding that needle. Then they could probably untie themselves and then still have the needle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sadler made a rookie mistake there, for sure. I think that's mine, because because think about this movie. A lot of it's relatively grounded. When the first guy gets shot, you get shot. When the cleats are never used. It's a relatively grounded movie, and then you have a guy getting an injection of heroin into his neck. That's kind of the most wild spot, I would say.
Yeah, and I thought he passes out for a while, and I thought it would affect him a little bit more, but he pretty much gets up. I guess it gives him the strength to finish killing